Our job begins where most advisors stop. Saving money is great, but how do you spend it without risk in retirement? Welcome to Every Day is Saturday with Brad Gatto and Matt Stahl, partners and private wealth managers at Fiat Wealth Management. In this podcast, we aim to broaden your knowledge about the financial world we live in today and make the boring and complex financial decisions fun, informative, and educational. Join us on this journey where Brad and Matt will explore different strategies on how to spend your money without guilt and have peace of mind knowing you are spending it the optimal way in retirement.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Every Day is Saturday. I'm Matt Stahl, partner at Fiat Wealth Management. I'm here with my other partner, Brad Gatto. And Brad, we have a special guest today.
We do. Very exciting.
We're extremely excited to welcome the one and only Ed Slott. So
thanks for being here, Ed. And you are on camera too. They can see you, so you can wave to everybody.
I'm here.
For everybody out there, in our world, Ed is a celebrity. So in the retirement planning world and the investment advisory world, Ed is a celebrity. For those of you that are not familiar with Ed, just a quick bio. He's a nationally recognized IRA distribution expert, professional speaker, television personality, and best-selling author. And you can see his books in the background if you look closely here.
We got a copy here too.
We have a copy as well.
The most recent one anyway.
So Ed is known for his unparalleled ability to turn advanced tax strategies into understandable, actionable, and entertaining advice. All right.
Which is hard to do. I mean, this is dry information.
It's hard to do. Believe me, it wasn't easy to write that book. It's right up to date for today's tax laws and everything you need to know to protect your hard-earned retirement savings in your 401k and IRA.
Let's give the listeners a little bit more background on you, because you are a CPA by trade, correct?
I'm a CPA, always been a tax advisor. And to me, it's all about the taxes. That's where, believe it or not, most people don't realize that you can make a ton of money just in good tax planning. Or to put it another way, you can avoid losing a ton of money with good tax planning.
So how do you go from being a CPA, which most of us would think of as the guy we go talk to when we file our taxes, to becoming who you are today and writing books on these topics and kind of not only educating consumers and the public, but also advisors like myself who can become elite advisors through your program and get advanced kind of senior level, PhD level education on this type of stuff?
Well, if you think about it, if you go to a tax preparer, there's a big difference between preparing taxes, tax preparation, and tax planning. Preparation is looking backwards. Matter of fact, most of my CPA colleagues that prepare tax returns, they're really just history teachers. They tell you what already happened and we put it on a form. Tax planning, you're looking forward, not backward. And that's what triggered me over 30 years ago. When I was in my 30s, I realized I was preparing taxes like regular accountants. And I realized that every year people would come in and I'd say, oh, you know what you should have done? Oh, if only you did this. And oh, if you could have done that. But every year was this woulda, coulda, shoulda, giving bad news. And I realized this is no way. And next year they would come in and have the same problem because I was looking backward, not forward. So I changed that in my 30s. Like I said, over 30 years ago, probably almost close to 40 years ago now. And I realized it's all in the tax planning, looking ahead to have a plan to have more and keep more of your hard-earned money.
Yeah. Absolutely. So can you talk to us a little bit about what led to you writing this book, and then kind of give us the synopsis, the new retirement savings time bomb, what this is all about?
Well, I realized I don't know if technically this is football season or not, since football season already ended, but retirement planning is like a football game. I realized this again early on, has two halves. But the game is won normally in almost every game now. You see the games are won in the last few seconds. Same thing with the retirement game. It's almost always won in the second half. The first half of the retirement game is what I call the accumulation phase. That's all the building, the working, the saving, the sacrificing, the investing to build what you have in your 401k and IRAs and other retirement accounts. But the mistake that I saw over many years, and that's why I got into this, that's why I wrote the book, is people not coming out to play the second half. So what people would do, generally, they'd get to halftime. In other words, they look at their account, they're ready to retire, and they say, look at this. I've got all the money I'll ever need for retirement. They pat themselves on the back. They go in at halftime and they think they're done. Meanwhile, the IRS comes out. They're playing the third and fourth quarter. They're playing nobody, so they win. That's because they're playing nobody. So the number one mistake, and the reason I wrote the book, is to alert people you have to play all the way through to the second half of the game, which is critical. That's taking the money out. Why else did you save all this money if you can't get it out? But the reason it's very tough with IRAs and 401ks, because this money has not yet been taxed. And the way you take it out will determine how much you keep and how much goes to the government. And I want everybody to keep more and pay less.
So, Ed, your company and our office have teamed up to create educational workshops that we're delivering across the country on this exact topic. That said, in that workshop, I don't go through your entire book. And in today's podcast, we're not going to go through your entire book. But let's talk about a couple of the concepts. Like, what are a couple of the key takeaways or key points that a reader is going to get from this book?
Well, the first thing is to show people how to play in the second half of the game, how to set up their IRAs, how to take the money out tax efficiently, and how to make the tax laws work for you rather than against you. See, here's the problem. And this is why I got into this area, like I said, over 30 years ago, because I saw most people knew how to save for retirement. Most advisors help them make money. But when it comes to your retirement account, it's not how much you have. That's important, of course, because if you have nothing, you have nothing to protect. But it's not how much you have as much as how much of that you get to keep. And with IRA or 401k money, you only can keep what you can get your hands on after taxes. So the tax planning has to be done. And that begins as early as possible. Hopefully, if you're watching this now, you're going to follow up, get an appointment, make sure all your ducks are in a row, all things are checked off. The book is obviously over 400 pages, covers everything you can imagine, but it's written very simply. So you could dig in anywhere you want. And I give you a bunch of steps, but the main thing is to take control. Get what I always like to say, get your plan, not the government plan. And then whenever I say that in seminars around the country, and I say, get your plan, not the government plan, somebody usually asks, but Ed, what is the government plan? Well, that's easy. That's doing absolutely nothing and letting it happen on the government's terms. Well, then you don't have a plan, which means you're not going to keep as much of your money as you should. And the whole plan is to keep more and pay less. So the key is playing in the second half of the game. Simple things like arranging your affairs to have more of it when you need it most. I talk about Roth IRAs, even life insurance. And again, I don't even sell life insurance. I'm a tax advisor. So one of the things you're going to get from this program is truly independent, objective, unbiased advice that's accurate and reliable. One of the problems out there, probably the biggest problem out there, is bad advice. It's everywhere. People I saw in the Super Bowl, people getting tax advice from little babies. I don't know if you saw that ad. I mean, they're getting it on TikTok or this or that. Do you want to risk your life savings on a TikTok post of 30 seconds? I mean, this is just bizarre where people, and I'm talking smart, sophisticated people that have saved a lot of money. So I want to encourage people to get the right answers the first time, because here's the problem. When it comes to your life savings, whether it's in a 401k, your 403b, your IRA, or Roth IRA, these tax rules are among the most complex in the entire U.S. tax code. But it's worse. Not only are they complex and difficult to understand, but many of these rules are rigid, and unforgiving. You may only get one chance to get this right. I've seen people lose their entire IRA just by messing up a simple IRA to IRA rollover, maybe because they didn't understand the once per year IRA rollover rule. And I warn throughout the whole book on how to avoid all these mistakes, or disinheriting their beneficiaries because they didn't update their beneficiary form, or causing more of their money to be taxed than should be because they didn't take steps to move their money, I always like to say, from accounts that are forever taxed to never taxed. I love tax-free because you keep more of your hard-earned money. And that's one of the big messages of the book.
So Ed, as we look out over the next 5 to 10 years, from a tax perspective, what are the biggest things that jump out at you? What are the things that you're thinking about from a planning perspective?
Well, I worry about future higher taxes, because the higher taxes go in the future, the less of your money you get to keep. So the real secret of the book, and I tell you in the book several places, it reminds me of the old book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. You know the book?
Yeah.
And in every chapter, in the intro, one of my favorite books, I read it all the time, Napoleon Hill tells you there's a secret to thinking and growing rich. But he won't give it to you. He says you have to figure it out for yourself. But he gives you little clues all throughout the book. By the way, if you're wondering what the secret to the book is, you can do anything your mind can think of if you have a plan and take action. There's the whole secret. Now I'm going to give you the secret to
spoiler
my book.
alert. We should have said spoiler alert before you said that.
Well, I mean, it seems obvious, but it's good to read it, reinforce, and make you feel good that whatever your mind can believe and come up with, it can achieve within reason if you take action. And it's the same thing here. Now, the secret to keeping more of your money, especially we're talking about retirement money that hasn't been taxed. And the secret, now, if I tell you the secret, you can't tell anybody, only the millions of people that are going to watch this. Okay. So can I keep you, Benjamin Franklin had a famous saying about secrets. He said, 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. Yeah, that's in Poor Richard's Almanac. Matter of fact, I love his stuff. I keep it right on my bookshelf. He has some great stuff. In case you don't know who I mean, Ben Franklin, he's the guy on the $100 bill. Maybe you're familiar with him. If you're not, this program can help you become more familiar with Ben Franklin. So here's the secret. Always pay taxes at the lowest rates. Now, that sounds simple. That's kind of like buy low and sell high. Yeah. That's another good one. I didn't make that one up, buy low and sell high, but that's a good one too. Write that down. What you're doing is buying the tax rate low and, at rock bottom prices, which is right now. I'm worried about the uncertainty of what future higher taxes can do to your standard of living in retirement. But right now, I give you the history of tax rates. If you look in the book there, I forget what page. Let's see. You have it there.
Early on.
Let's see. It's early on. I know. I put that because that's one of the big messages. I should
28.
have. What
28.
page?
28.
All right. Thank you. All right. There it is. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. See, 28, the history of tax rates. The reason I did that is to show you how high tax rates were and to learn from history. People talk about the good old days. These are the good old days, tax rate wise. Everybody complains about taxes, but they're the lowest you may ever see in your lifetime. If you look at that page 28 or whatever we said it was, now I forgot it. Yep. You're going to notice people like me, and maybe many of you watching this, the baby boomers who were born 1946 through 1964. If you look at the top federal tax rates for each one of those years, they exceeded 90. That's 90%. Except for the last year, 1964, that's when the Beatles came to America and everybody was so happy they dropped the top federal tax rate down to only 77%. So look at this. Mark Twain had a saying, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Or to put it another way, those who don't learn from history are bound to repeat it. So that's why I give you in the book the full history of tax rates since the tax code, our current tax code, began in 1913. you'll see it's at rock bottom sales. Everybody likes a sale. And that's the secret to the book. You may want to know it by 3 other words, which nobody, even my CPA colleagues, cringe when I say it. Pay taxes now. What? What kind of secret is that? If I pay taxes, I have less. No, retirement is about having more long-term when you need it most in retirement. That's the last time you want to worry about tax rates going up to 50%. Why do I worry about tax rates going up? And that's what I call the new retirement savings time bomb. It's a ticking tax time bomb. Say that 3 times fast. It's a ticking tax time bomb. Remember, if you do nothing and ignore what we're talking about here, and even if the market is good to you and your IRA grows and grows and grows, part of that is growing right back to Uncle Sam. And you don't have to give Uncle Sam all that money. I don't even know if you know this. He's not even your real uncle, okay? There's no obligation there. But most people do nothing and they ignore the problem. Do like the sign in my dentist's office. She has a sign there, ignore your teeth and they'll go away. If you ignore this, your IRA will go away, because think about this. Your IRA, this should bother you. It's a joint account with Uncle Sam, with the government. Every time you make money, they make money. So you may do well. You may say, oh, look at the stock market. But I have to tell you, whatever the stock market gives you, the tax man can pull away. If you don't have a plan. So this book is that plan. Forever tax to never tax. So here's an example of what I talk about pay taxes now. A Roth conversion, moving from tax deferred to tax free. Yes, you pay taxes up front, but if you have more later on and it's growing tax free for you, you never have to share it with the government. You will be in much better shape because you got rid of that growing, building, compounding tax debt in your IRA. Now, my CPA colleagues over the years, and still some today, don't like the idea of anyone paying taxes before they have to. But if you can get it out at low rates, you win the retirement game.
Yeah, and it comes back to control, which you talked about as well, because at the end of the day, in retirement, the money machine is off. You're not living on what you've saved, and you have all these variables. And so the more control you can gain in your life in all these variables, whether it's the market, taxes, anything like that, the more you have an opportunity to win, to your point. So give our listeners, Ed, other than reading the book, which is we're going to recommend to everybody, obviously, what's the first best step anybody can make in developing a plan?
Well, I believe you need to you need to get educated. That's why I put the book out. And it's a good education, but you need to work with a competent financial advisor that has this specialized knowledge. As you say, we've been training financial advisors on this for over 30 years. And the reason is it's a specialized field. The average advisor can help you make money, but it's what you keep that counts. Here's a better analogy. A medical analogy more people might understand. First of all, you don't like, even if you're a do-it-yourselfer, I still want you educated so you're more empowered to ask better questions and make better decisions and understand better what the advisor is telling you. But a medical analogy, when I say you need a specialist, most people know their general practitioner doctor, he or she, they're nice guys, but they're not specialists. They're not a cardiologist or they're not a neurologist or some other ologist. They're not a specialist. Sometimes you need a specialist. And this is one of those times when your entire retirement savings are at risk in the second half of the game. That's where the team thins out of who has specialized knowledge. So 2 points, I want you to be educated with this information, but also work with an advisor who understands how to put these principles to use so you can end up with keeping more of your hard-earned money and passing more on to your beneficiaries as well, and doing it all by minimizing and in some cases eliminating the taxes.
Ed, are you trying to say that not every advisor knows all this stuff?
99% of advisors do not know it, sorry to say. So you might be saying, wait a minute, Ed, 99. Are you saying only 1% of advisors have this specialized knowledge? No, It's much less than that. I round it up. I know this because me and my firm have been training advisors in this more than anyone in the country. And remember, most advisors were trained for only the first half of the game. They figure if they help you make money, that's enough. But with tax deferred money or IRAs and 401ks, money that has not yet been taxed, it's a sitting duck in the second half of the game. That's where you need help. Yes, it's what you keep that counts. And that's the theme of the book, just like it says on the cover, how to take financial control, avoid unnecessary taxes, and combat the latest threats to your retirement savings. And I outlined some of those latest threats. It's called Congress in one word. Congress is after your retirement money. That's another reason I wrote the book. Why? Because for Congress, your retirement account is the low-hanging fruit. Mm-hmm. It's easy pickings because we all made that deal with the devil years ago. We got some tax deduction up front. As with any deal with the devil, there's a day of reckoning when you have to pay it all back. If you can attack that and plan for that, you can actually have a situation where you and your family end up with more and more of it tax-free.
Perfect. This has been great stuff. We always love to end our podcast, Ed, and we don't really ever.
It's over already? Well, then you know what? There's a lot more good stuff in the seminar, and I laid it out beautifully. You've seen the program, nice graphics. It's really well explained, enough to make you realize, hey, I can do something about it. You can be in control. That's the big message.
Yeah.
I just have one question before I transition. When Ed Slott files his tax return each year, who's signing that tax return?
Who's signing that tax return? Ed Slott. But this is as close as I can get to sign your tax return. Because I want you to take advantage of all the tax provisions, and there are a lot to take advantage of. I show you how to use the tax law to your advantage, so the money will build and compound and grow for you rather than against you.
Yeah, love it. Awesome. We love when we have a guest on, Ed, and we don't ever tell our guests we're going to do this, but we love to end with a lightning round, just 5 fun questions, random questions. Matt and I don't pre-prepare these. They just whatever comes to the top of our mind. And so we're going to pepper you with 5 fun questions quick, and then we're going to wrap up. So I'm going to hit you with the first question. You made a sports analogy, so I'm kind of going out on a limb here. I'm hoping you're a sports fan. What's your favorite sports team?
Well, I hate to admit it because all my teams are losers, but it's the New York Mets and the New York Jets. But here's how I like football. The Jets, they haven't won a Super Bowl since 1969. But here's how I enjoy football. I root for other teams to lose. What else can I do?
You're choosing your last meal. What is it?
Oh, it's going to be probably pizza.
Really?
Nice.
I like that.
With garlic, a lot of garlic. This way, nobody will care anymore.
Best place you've ever traveled to?
Oh, I've been to a lot of places, but I like walking places. I like the city of San Francisco because you can walk a lot there. Same thing. I love Boston, walking around the old square where they created a lot of these tax laws I'm still working on now. It's a beautiful city for walking, any nice walking city, but those are 2 where you can go all over the place on foot. Chicago, too, has a lot of that in the city. It's kind of like New York City, only smaller and cleaner.
You
know where else in your neighborhood in Minneapolis, you can do those skywalks. I love that. Even in the dead of winter, you can walk all over the city and without a coat.
Most influential book that is not yours.
Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. And I already gave you the secret, so you don't even have to get it.
Perfect.
Last question. Tell us about your family.
Family, you got lots of family and lots of family stories that you don't want to know, but we have three kids, all girls, all 3 girl grandchildren, all girls, but breaking news, my first boy grandchild on the way.
Is this the first podcast you've ever broke that news on?
Yeah, because I just found out.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Ed, I know you're a busy guy, and I know that you get a lot of requests from people.
Never too busy to help you keep more of your money. I've always been on that mission. And you asked me the first question, why am I here? Why do I do this? Because I saw the problems early on, 30 years ago. There was this big void. People would come in and say, well, nobody told me that this happened or that happened. Why am I losing my retirement savings? How did I make these mistakes? Why didn't anybody tell me I could have done this, that, and the other thing and had a lot more and more of it tax-free? Because I realized back then, and it's still the case today, there's a big void of advice. And the big problem is the bad advice online everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt says it all the time. There's no lack of information anymore because of the internet. There's a lack of wisdom of what to do with that information. And so again, Ed, thank you so much. We're going to put a link to your book in the description of the podcast. And so if you want to check Ed's book out, you can check that link. If you schedule a visit with our office, we're going to provide the book to you at no cost. We've got plenty of them here. We would love an opportunity, just like Ed said, to teach you how to play the second half of the game. And for everybody that's stuck with us, as always, thank you so much for listening to Every Day is Saturday. If you want to reach out to us, our website is where you can find all of that information, fiatwm.com. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you want to share it with your friends and family, we would love that too. Until next time, everybody, until next Saturday, I'm Brad Gatto. This is my partner, Matt Stahl. Ed, thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Every Day is Saturday. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Fiat Wealth Management or Foundations Investment Advisors. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.
Investment advisory services offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.